Welcome to Talking Early Years, a showcase training podcast with Ellen Roberts
and Gemma Carr.
Hello and welcome to today's Talking Early Years podcast, and specifically our Safeguarding Shorts series. In this episode, we're going to be discussing New Year updates, specifically relating to mandatory reporting duty and how this can impact us as practitioners. So let's dive in. Ellen, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Gemma. How are you?
Yes, very good, thank you. I've just noticed we're both in pink for the day.
We are. I've just been joined by my cat as well, so she is joining in today on our Safeguarding
For all mandatory reporting duty needs.
She loves it.
So tell us, what is mandatory reporting duty?
So the mandatory reporting duty is a new piece of, or rather, a legislation update coming into effect this year and next year. The rollout is very, very new, so it is an emergent piece of legislation. So what it is, it's an update to the Crime and Policing Bill of 2025, and it's introducing a new statutory reporting duty requiring professionals and volunteers in certain occupations like early years to report child sexual abuse, including disclosures, witnessing abuse, or viewing related material.
Great, absolutely. So what are, if this is a revised and updated, what are the changes that have been made?
So the main change is a legal duty for people to now report child sexual abuse. So previously there was no legal duty to report that particular crime. So the bill very much looks to fill that gap and put in place a legal requirement for people to disclose the crimes to the police, and failure to disclose is now a criminal offence, or will be a criminal offence, I should say. So the duty is for anyone aged 18 or over in regulated activity with children. So that includes people like teachers, social workers, healthcare professionals, volunteers in these sectors as well, and of course us as childcare staff. So the main difference is that if you are told about child sexual abuse by a child or an adult, if you see or witness sexual abuse directly, or if you see, hear, watch images, videos, and audio that show child sexual abuse, you must make a report to the police. It's not just your DSL that has to make that report.
Is it only relevant to sexual abuse, or is it all types of abuse?
This mandatory reporting duty is all about sexual abuse.
Okay.
So to make that distinction, however, I think there is definitely something to consider if you aren't reporting all types of abuse. I would very much advise people that in months and years to come, I should imagine this legislation will be extended. So get into the habit now. What the legislation is wanting to do, it's wanted to strengthen that child protection first and foremost, and making sure that options of reporting safeguarding issues and serious abuse aren't missed. It's making sure that we're standardizing reporting practices across the country, and that we're not placing the responsibility only on the DSL, who may miss it or through whatever reason may not report it to the right people in the right way, or may just choose not to report. It makes it a mandatory requirement for whoever has that disclosure to report it. So what I would say about child sexual abuse as well is that quite often with particularly things like seeing historical or hearing about historical child sexual abuse as well, quite often people also think that's in the past, I'll give it to my DSL and it kind of stops there. What this mandatory reporting procedure will do is stop that from happening. So we'll see a bit of an uptick in terms of how much is reported and the prevalence of child sexual abuse. So watch out for that in statistics, and bear that in mind as well, that it doesn't, those statistics will not necessarily mean that it's more prevalent than ever. It just means that it's being more reported on as well, which is a good thing that it's been reported, but just bear that in mind.
So, Ellen, when we're talking about contacting the police, automatically my brain goes 999. In the UK, 999. However, is it 999, or is it a specific number that we should be contacting?
So it's not a specific number. If it's something that's happening now and it is an immediate cause of concern, you must dial 999. If it's something that has been reported to you, whether it's historical in terms of last week, last month, last year, last 10 years, and the child isn't in immediate danger or harm, you can absolutely report it through normal channels like 101, reporting on your local police website. Quite often now disclosures can be made online as well. Or if in doubt, speak to your MASH and LADO directly as well. Your DSL will be able to direct you to them, and it may well be that you both make that call together. That's absolutely fine, but you have the legal responsibility to make sure that disclosure is made. What you could also do is, if you declare it to your DSL, is then follow up with the DSL to make sure that they have reported it and ask for evidence of that. So if you weren't too sure who to make that disclosure to, or didn't feel confident as well, sometimes it's quite a nerve-wracking thing to make that disclosure, you could leave the responsibility of the disclosure in the hands of your DSL, but you must make sure that that has happened. So I'd be asking for, just confirmation from them by email, or if they've made a disclosure to MASH or LADO, they should get a reference number, and then you can be assured that that has taken place.
So this is not instead of DSL, MASH, LADO. This is
Absolutely.
as well as.
The police and MASH and LADO would always far rather have three disclosures of the same thing, rather than it be missed. So never ever worry that you are treading on a DSL's toes. If you both make a disclosure, absolutely that is what's supposed to happen, but it is your legal responsibility to make the disclosure. So of course, if you're making it the disclosure to the DSL, they also then have a legal responsibility as well. But in the case of where perhaps you may not have a DSL, so for those, you could be on holiday and witness something, for example, so you probably wouldn't then take it back to the workplace and then disclose. You still then have that responsibility because you are a regulated professional.
Absolutely. So what does this mean for us in settings?
So in settings, you need to be very careful with how this is implemented. We still need to be following our safeguarding procedures in setting, reporting to DSLs, taking factual notes when disclosures are made, including times, relevant information and details, quoting what the child or whoever's making the disclosure to you, quoting what they say, not giving your opinion. You must inform the person as well that you have a legal responsibility to pass on that information. They are not protected under GDPR where safeguarding is concerned. You absolutely must pass on personal information when safeguarding is concerned, as in accordance with our Keeping Children Safe in Education. In setting as well, it means that you must be referring to the Disclosure and Barring Service as well, the DBS service. We all have heard of the DBS, and quite often, as far as it goes, is applying for your own and then seeing nothing come back, which is absolutely fab. But failing to make a report to the DBS of known offences and crimes as well of others is also an offence. So, for example, what a DSL's responsibility is, if they have a member of staff who they suspect or know of committing a crime, they must report it to the DBS, who then add it to the record. So again, there is an offence for obstructing or attempting to prevent another person from making those disclosures as well. So if the perpetrator tries to stop you from making that offence, you're both potentially at risk of further action because you've not made the disclosure and that person's stopping you from making the disclosure. So there is a heavy responsibility there.
Okay. Is it likely that settings, safeguarding policies and procedures will be changing or being added to?
I absolutely think they need to. Yes, the DSL, those kind of parts of the safeguarding policy won't change. That's still in place. But settings, definitely, you need to be on top of these changes and making those amendments to your policy. For Showcase, we've already made that amendment to our policy on our safeguarding policy. You can find that on our website as well if you need an example of how we've integrated the mandatory reporting duty into our policy. So please, all employers listening as well, do take heed of this. Learn what the mandatory reporting duty is and pop it into your policies ahead of the game.
Lovely. Great. Thank you very much.
So, final thing to mention as well. So, at the moment, the bill is still going through Parliament, so it is not in active effect. Meanwhile, whilst they are scrutinising and debating the bill, and until we hear that it's in place, they are expecting it to be in place end of 2026, beginning of 2027, roughly. The NSPCC, in the meantime, are running a series of free on-demand webinars, which means that you can just access them at any time. It's not a timed or live webinar. So that is aimed at supporting people working with or volunteering with children to understand their duty and how it will impact themselves as a professional and their wider organisation. So we will pop in the notes for this podcast the link directly to the NSPCC.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Thank you very much for tuning in today. As always, safeguarding is a big topic. If you have any concerns, you can reach out to your settings DSL or to the Showcase Training Safeguarding Lead, or directly to MASH or LADO.
Don't forget to like, share and follow our podcast to stay updated with the latest in early years and safeguarding. And as always, let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, take care and keep making a difference.